Pokemon Scarlet and Violet are only about a month away, and speculation for the two games is starting to reach its peak. And one area that I love to speculate about is what new typings we'll see in each new game. With nearly 1,000 unique Pokemon, as well as over 1,000 if you include alternate forms, it may be surprising to learn that even now, over 2.5 decades after the series began, there are some type combinations that have gone unused. There are 324 possible type combinations. Of them, 16 remain unused. Another 8 are exclusive to legendary or mythical Pokemon, and another is exclusive to a Mega Evolution, a mechanic that Game Freak decided to drop after Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. And even then, there are plenty of type combinations that just go underused, that you could surely get plenty of great Pokemon from. So today, I'm going to discuss 10 type combinations I'd like to see in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Some of these combinations may already exist, but don't expect to see bug flying or rock ground here. I tried to shoot for type combinations used by 2 evolution lines or less, if they're used at all. So to start out today's list, I'll begin with one type combination that went unused until the most recent game in the series, Normal Ghost. The odd typing of Hisuian Zorua and Zoroark has only 1 weakness and 2 resistances, but it also has 3 immunities, the most any Pokemon can have without factoring in abilities. In addition, this combination is only resisted by 5 Pokemon in existence, 2 of those being the Pokemon with the combination itself. If this type were to be used again, I would love to see a Pokemon based off a bedsheet ghost, the stereotypical and oftentimes laziest Halloween costume. Most Pokemon games release in the fall, so what better way to celebrate the holiday than with the reveal of a new Pokemon based on one of the most iconic costumes out there. In terms of gameplay, I'd imagine it playing a supporting role with moves like Helping Hand, Fake Out, and Follow Me. Who knows, maybe it could even find a way to make the move Trick or Treat viable. From the type of one unit of a Pokemon to another, there's also Ice Dragon. Back when Black and White were first released, Kyurem was really interesting, as prior to the Fairy type, this was the most antithetical typing a Dragon Pokemon could have. A Pokemon like Titan is what I'd most imagine a non-legendary Ice Dragon type to look like. A large monster you wouldn't want to find yourself against when traveling through Paldea's tundras. I would imagine an Ice Dragon type Pokemon as a sweeper. Both of these types are known for their firepower, and Ice types in particular are recognized as glass cannons. However, in terms of design and theming, it might make a bit more sense to have a bulky Pokemon with this type, as creatures that live in frigid regions tend to require some bulk to survive the extreme conditions. We generally don't get too many Ice or Dragon types in a new generation, but hopefully we'll see something more than just Titan and Cyclizar. But then again, another Dragon-type pairing I'd love to see make its first appearance is Bug Dragon. When people look back on Flygon and Yanmega, they often ask what might have been. Either of these Pokemon would have been a suitable fit as our first Bug Dragon type. Even when Flygon was rumored to get a Mega Evolution in Generation 6, many thought the typing would finally make an appearance. But what's really interesting about this type is that you'd be combining the type often regarded as the weakest with one that's known as one of the strongest. And you see that when looking at its matchups. When putting the two types together, Dragon only neutralizes one of Bug's weaknesses, and Bug doesn't neutralize any of Dragon's, leaving whatever Pokemon gets this typing with 5 weaknesses to contend with, many of which are among the most common in competitive play. However, this combination would give the Pokemon that gets it resistances to other common types like Fighting, Ground, Water, and Electric. If any Pokemon were to get this typing, I'd expect it to begin as a smaller, weaker Pokemon, probably a pure Bug type or Bug Flying, but like Magikarp before it, evolve into a powerhouse with enough training. Now, back to another type we've seen before, Fighting and Rock are the 2 types I most think of when it comes to all-out offense. Between them, they hit nearly half of all types for super effective damage, and hit every type for at least neutral damage. Only a few Pokemon resist the combination of types. This is one I'm honestly surprised they haven't used for a regional form in any of the more recent games. I'd have imagined a regional form of Golem to be Rock Fighting before Rock Electric, and even Hisui and Growlithe and Arcanine could have fit with this typing. Regardless of what Pokemon has the typing, based on the precedent set by Terrakion, I can only imagine that a new Fighting and Rock-type Pokemon would be an absolute force to be reckoned with. Now, for the most used typing of the video, there's Water Electric. This typing hasn't been used since Generation 5, when Rotom's alternate forms were giving matching types, and not counting alternate forms, it was last seen in Generation 2, released way back in 1999. Another one of those antithetical typings, Water Electric seems pretty decent, only 2 weaknesses with 5 resistances, including a double resistance to steel types. And offensively, it's pretty great too, dealing super effective damage to 5 types, and the only types that it resists are both weak to ice, which is covered thanks to the fact that almost every water type learns Ice Beam. It seems to me there's plenty of cool things you can do with this typing, from another anglerfish to regional variants of Pokemon like Whiscash, Electros, or even Stunfisk, which was originally designed as a water-electric type. Also, Game Freak, I would really appreciate it if you could give Lantern a huge buff or an evolution. That would be greatly appreciated. Thanks. And from 2 of the most popular types to 2 more, there's also Fire Grass, another typing that's gone completely unused. To be honest, when the Alola region was first revealed, I would have put money on there being a Fire Grass Tiki Pokemon, but I guess not. Defensively, its only weaknesses would be Flying, Poison, and Rock, types that aren't uncommon in competitive play, but aren't really overused either, especially with the popularity of Flying types seemingly taking a hit once they lose access to Max Airstream. In addition, the combination resists some of the most powerful types in the series, in Steel, Electric, and Fairy. And on the offensive side, it deals super effective damage to 7 of the 18 types. As I mentioned, you could see a Tiki-inspired Pokemon show up with this typing, but there's also potential for another Jack-O-Lantern Pokemon. Again, I'm surprised that Pumpkaboo and Gourgeist didn't already cover this. And as the only unused combination of the starter types, I think it's about time we finally see it usable in-game. Now, for another type I would have expected by now, Bug Dark isn't particularly great, with 5 weaknesses, but conceptually I think it would be pretty cool to see. Prior to Sword and Shield, I privately speculated we'd finally see this type in a new Spider Pokemon, but that unfortunately didn't come to pass. Despite this, if we were to get a new Spider Pokemon in the future, or even a regional variant of Ariados or Galvantula, I'd expect to see this type along with them. And hey, it's not like this is a completely irredeemable type gameplay-wise, with 4 resistances and an immunity to Psychic-type attacks, as well as super effective damage against 4 types. Now for another unused type, we have Poison Steel, which is perhaps the best unused type defensively. This type would only have 2 weaknesses to common types, a weakness to Fire, and a double weakness to Ground. This admittedly isn't the best thing in the world, especially when a huge number of competitively viable Pokemon have access to Earthquake, High Horsepower, or Flamethrower. Despite that, the Pokemon that gets this typing would have 6 resistances, 3 double resistances, and 1 immunity. It can safely switch into more than half of all types, which is absolutely crazy. Also notable about this type is that one of its double resistances is against the Fairy type, which is widely regarded as one of the strongest, if not the strongest single type in the series. As of now, the only Pokemon that have this trait are Salazzle, which has almost no defensive capabilities, and Heatran, a legendary, meaning it may not be available in any given competitive format. I'm not exactly sure what type of Pokemon we'd see with this typing, or at least prior to recording I wasn't. I'd have guessed before maybe a regional variant of Garbodor, and another idea I've always liked is the idea of an Ankylosaur Pokemon, the dinosaur often known as the most heavily armored, covered in spikes with a clubbed tail. But then, some of our more recent trailers have given us a look at a new Pokemon that wasn't formally introduced to us, this Engine Pokemon. If we were to get a Steel Poison type this generation, this would probably be the Pokemon to have it. And if you'd like to know what stats I think this Pokemon would have, go check out this video in the top corner. This is a type I would look out for if it does finally get used, as potentially one of the best of all time. Moving on, the final type I'll be covering that has been used before, Fire Water, is another antithetical typing, one that's only been seen with the mythical Pokemon Volcanion, which became usable in competitive formats for the first time after the World Championships this year. This typing is absolutely fantastic, with only 3 weaknesses, 5 resistances, 3 of which are double resistances. Meanwhile, it deals super effective damage to 7 types, with the combination only resisted by 2. This type was actually originally planned all the way back in Generation 2 with the now scrapped Bomb Seal Pokemon. This is also a type I could see utilized by a regional variant of Octillery, perhaps drawing on its original design. This typing has gone underutilized for far too long, and again, only being available through events. And I'd hope to see a Pokemon with this type show up sometime soon. And finally, the last unused type I would like to see in these upcoming games is Normal Ice. Widely regarded as the worst possible type combination of all time, this typing would grant the Ice type an immunity to Ghost moves, in exchange for making its weakness to fighting types even worse. Any other resistances other than Ice? Nope. Any weaknesses neutralized by either type? Nope. This type is bad, but I'd love to see it come to fruition just for the heck of it. Any Pokemon that was normal ice type, perhaps a bear, weasel, or wolf, would almost have to be a sweeper with almost zero defensive capabilities. But at the end of the day, Pokemon, just as with any other game, is about having fun. And it'd be pretty funny to use this type combination in-game. So, that's all I got for you. What unused or underutilized types do you want to see in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you liked the video, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you'll see when all of my videos come out. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.